We'll see how today goes, right? I'll be cussing this thing out in a minute, you know.
Yeah, you know, people tried to get me to do that.
They are?
No, they did.
Oh. And it didn't work? You were like, nope.
No, it's like I got enough shit other to do with it. You know what I mean? Because it takes your attention here.
It's a lot of work. Actually, the live stream's not so bad. You just put it on and
Let it go.
yeah, there you go.
Supervisor. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, right. Commented about something. Yeah. It was over
Are you bringing me money?
Yes, as a matter of fact, talking about a video.
Even better.
It's
Bug me about money in the video.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, I have a house. I've been to it before. It looks really cool. My wife tells me that. I've seen her once in specs.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, once is pretty good.
Poor kids, they're at home feral.
They were anyway. We threw out a bag of Cheerios and we started sipping this off.
That's late.
We got the fireworks.
Yeah, I have nothing else. I was actually at a triple hotel meeting.
She lives in Windsor.
She lives in Wendell.
That'd be five.
There's one more applicant.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's to the actual letter. Not the letter.
Next week's great. It's not bad long next week this week. I don't have any time until tomorrow.
It was blurry for a second.
I loved it on Sunday. I was out around the house. A few hours.
Thank God.
No.
Okay, rely on them.
Okay, we're going to come back and pledge of allegiance. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Michael, will you do the invocation?
Sure. Gracious Father, we thank you for bringing us here today. And Lord, we ask for wisdom and discernment and understanding, Lord, to accomplish your perfect will. So guide us, please. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, Amanda, will you announce the discussion in closed session?
I will, thank you. The board met in conference with legal counsel, in closed session conference and legal counsel regarding significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision D2 of Government Code Section 54956.9. There's no reportable action. The board met with legal counsel in closed session regarding existing litigation pursuant to D1 of Government Code Section 54956.9 opioid litigation. One case direction to staff was given. The board met in closed session regarding liability claim, claimant Gino Construction, Inc., agency claimed against Lassen County, and direction to staff was given. Board met with regard to a liability claim, claimant Leslie Easley, workers' compensation claim number TIBX 600158, agency claimed against Lassen County, and direction to staff was given. And finally, the board met in a conference with labor negotiator Scott McLaren, Lassen County Deputy Sheriff's Association, LCDSA, and direction to staff was given.
Thank you. Okay, agenda approval, additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
With
the deletions.
of G2 and G3, and I'm going to move the board's unagendized reports to the end of our meeting.
Okay.
All right? So with those changes,
I will make that motion.
all right?
I'll second it.
And first by Supervisor Bridges, second by Supervisor Scanlon. Anybody from the public? Seeing none, we'll bring it back up for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're got two speaker cards for public comment, and one is John McGarva.
I think I have enough for everybody.
Already got one.
Thank you.
Good morning, John McGarva, Sheriff Coroner. Appreciate you guys giving me a few minutes to talk this morning. I'm here to talk about obviously an issue that is nothing new to Lassen County, but has definitely continued to increase its presence with us, and it is the gray wolves that are occupying in North County. Just to give you some things that we've been doing, a little bit of overview. I've been talking to area ranchers up there since the beginning of March, but essentially several times in the last couple of weeks, including Dixie Valley Ranch and several ranchers in the Big Valley area. I've talked to ranchers in Willow Creek as well. I believe Mr. Hansen's here. So we really trying to figure out a way to work with the Department of Fish and Wildlife and the United States Fish and Wildlife to try and find a way to mitigate the emerging threat to the public safety that's become the gray wolf. We've had livestock kills. There's been 6 up there in the last couple of weeks, 1 in Willow Creek Valley, 6 up in Big Valley and Dixie Valley areas. They're actually coming in closer to residences, which is increasing the nature of the public safety issue that this is causing. They're coming within 15 yards of residences. They're in areas where children play. They found them in tracks and sandboxes. They found it in a fort that a kid had been playing in. So we're really becoming cautious and really concerned about the approach. I've talked with the assistant chief for the region, Chris Stutz. We've had a long discussion about this. They see that they're describing the behavior as atypical and abnormal for the wolves. They're becoming conditioned or desensitized to the human population that cohabitate that area. And we, at this point, myself and the sheriffs from 4 other counties, Siskiyou, Modoc, Sierra, and Shasta, for now, Plumas will probably be joining, are looking at trying to put some pressure on Fish and Wildlife to try and get them to address this issue. The major problem with this is they're federally on the endangered species list federally, and they're protected species in California. So they're working on that. We're trying to talk to them about moving to phase 2 of their plan. I know that Supervisor Alva and I have discussed that, and we were at the meeting at Dixie Valley where that was discussed, where they should be starting to look towards, until they move from phase 2 and even towards phase 3, there's not a lot of mechanism in that plan for lethal take. I have identified in the letter that I've provided you, obviously they had OR 158 in Lake County, Oregon, that was that they had to use a federal trapper to actually lethally depredate at the time. And then I'm in conversations with the federal trappers at U.S. Fish and Wildlife I've talked to George Alfonso, I've talked to his supervisor about trying to proceed down the road of what they did there. And I'll be honest with you, it's a long road to get there. It's the federal government, nothing's quick. So we're going to be continuing to work through those measures as well. Also, I have identified and talked to the public in different areas about what the law says about being able to, if this is a threat to you or your family, what you can and cannot do. I identified some case law in the letter that's in front of you that's not directly on point to wolves. It talks about grizzly bears, but I believe it's appropriate for this based on what I've read. So that's where we're at. We are doing a lot of things. I understand that there's some questions and that you guys want to have some back and forth on this. This is not obviously the forum for that, but I do plan on being back in the first meeting in April. I believe we're going to start talking about this and how to move forward. So this isn't the last appearance you're going to see of me. I've already forwarded more information from the V-Hills at Dixie Valley that they provided me from area ranchers. That's already, I got that email yesterday, sent it up the chain, Fish and Game and U.S. Fish and Wildlife this morning. So we are, the letter is not it. There will be plenty more pressure coming for this.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Jack Hansen.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, supervisors. Again, my name is Jack Hansen. I'm a resident of Lassen County out in the Willow Creek Valley around the Horse Lake area. I'm here today to offer just a couple of comments that I'd like to make in relation to the Kramer decision and some of the comments and discussion during that decision. I think there was probably maybe a little lack of appreciation of how agriculture fits into the community and how it fits into the county budget. And I also feel that there might have been a little bit more that could have been said about conservation easements that weren't said at the time. On conservation easements, and I've got these prepared comments, but quite frankly, I'm going to probably digress from them and kind of speak extemporaneously. With conservation easements, I think the impression that I received at the meeting was that about all you did was strip your development rights, and for that you got paid a bunch of money. And that's not necessarily the whole story in my estimation. One, within the easement and within your trust deed, there are conservation values that are placed with that property, especially with an agricultural conservation easement. And you have to protect and enhance those conservation values. You're monitored every year on what you do. You're prohibited from intensifying agriculture on your property. We can't grow trees and vines. We can't grow row crops. You can't do corn, beans, and so on. And as I said, you have to protect not only the conservation values, but the biodiversity and so on. So there's quite a bit more that goes into it. In addition to that, part of that easement fund that comes to an operation, or pardon me, to a landowner, has to go towards a legal fund to protect the trust organization from further legal complications, maybe with the conservation easement. And there's also, you've got to pay into an endowment that provides for maintenance and upkeep of that conservation easement, as I said, which includes the annual monitoring. But I think more importantly, and I'd like to thank Supervisor Ingram publicly for supporting it. Obviously, I didn't agree with the Kramer decision, but I'm not here to address that specifically. But I think more importantly, I had the impression after the hearing on the Kramer easement that maybe there wasn't quite as much appreciation of agriculture and what they offer the county, and specifically to the budget. And I think that this might have been addressed even under public comment at the last meeting. But of the 20/80 split on property taxes, the direct services we receive from the county normally are far less than the 20% we pay in property taxes that end up in the county coffers. And we do obviously avail ourselves of a number of services for fees in the county, which helps the county budget. Somebody mentioned roads. Obviously, most of you know 99% of the road money comes from fuel tax, comes from the state of California through a fuel tax. And quite frankly, some of that maintenance in winter is somewhat questionable, but we won't go there. We pay possessory interest on permits. We pay unsecured property taxes, and so I do think that the agricultural community, in fact, I think it's probably the largest private industry you can tax. I think the budget problems come from the fact that the county can't tax federal and state assets. If you could tax the Air Army Depot, your budget problems would be done. The amount of assets that are down there on the depot, for most of you, you all know it, Supervisor Ingram knows it, they're in the $1 billion range. And so at any rate, I'd just like to offer those comments, but thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come to the podium under public comment of anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none.
Take it easy. Easy.
We'll go to C1 on the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, Matt May, Planning Manager. The item before you today is to introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance amending the Lassen County Code. The amendment will remove the requirement to install fire sprinklers within all residential structures over 2,000 feet constructed under Chapter 12.27 of the Lassen County Code. And in summary, we're asking you to receive the report, find that the ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, introduce and waive the first reading of the ordinance, set a public hearing for April 15th, 2025, 10 a.m. to waive the second reading, and authorize the clerk of the board to make available for public review. And so specifically, as I said, this amendment will remove the requirement to install fire sprinklers within all residential structures over 2,000 feet constructed under Chapter 12.27 of the Lassen County Code. And essentially, a limited density dwelling ordinance was previously adopted by the board in February of 2022. It's been very effective and popular for construction of single-family residences. And we want to expand that ordinance and hopefully capture even more potential builders. And with that, I'm open for questions.
I got a question.
Do we need to open it up for?
No, he's gonna ask questions. This is a time for questions to staff.
All right.
Mr. May, is there any reason why it has to be over 2,000 square feet? Why couldn't we just do any square footage?
That's what the goal is. Right now, over 2,000 square feet requires. This amendment removes that requirement.
So under 2,000 square feet, if you want to do a multiple dwelling unit on your property, say an in-law unit, you're not required to have sprinklers?
This is for single-family residences constructed under our limited density ordinance, which has specifications. And right now, if those homes that qualify are under 2,000 square feet, they don't need sprinklers. We're trying to expand that to capture all homes.
And that's only in the limited density
Yes.
areas? Gotcha. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
What's limited density?
It's a legislative provision under Health and Safety Code that allows for construction under Title 25 of the code rather than under Title 24, which is building code.
Yeah, but what is it? I mean, is it 10 people per?
Oh, sorry, the
block
density,
or per mile,
the
or-
density that we have in code right now is, it's the average home site density has to be 2 acres in your aliquot part of a quarter of a section. So 40-acre section, quarter, you have to have an average of 2-acre residential density.
Any questions for staff?
Just one more, just 2 acres average on the 40 acre.
Yep. And so, just to make a point to that, we've had, I think 16 successful applications in the last 2 years since this has been effective. In the previous 2 years before that, we only had 6. So it's been very effective, very popular.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll open it up for a public hearing at 10:07. Is there anybody that is, wants to come up for this, ordinance? Anybody from the public that is opposed to this? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 10:07 again, and bring it back up here. Any other, yes, Mr. Outlaw?
You know, it's interesting, you know, when this thing first came about, I remember when it first came about, and it really stymied the housing market, especially here in Lassen County. I mean, we didn't have a new home built here for like 2 years or something after this came out. It was too expensive. Yet the states tell us we have to do all this stuff, and it's just a government overreach, and now they've realized the error of their ways, and now they've come back and they've changed it, and so now we can come back and start building again. But I mean, it's part of the problem that we have, and so anyway, it's just, we have to do the housing element on top of all this and justify all this. And anyway, it's taken a long time for them to realize the error of their ways. I'm glad that they finally realized it, so we can move forward, so I'm happy to see that.
Yes.
You know, it's just another way, it's proven to the community that one size in California does not fit all. This is a great idea in Southern California. We're a little bit different up here in the rural areas, so I'm glad to see it happen.
Because up here, we can't use the water, we have to have the dry system, which is even more expensive than the pressurized water. So if you're looking for a motion?
I just want to thank Maury and his staff for looking into this, you know, and figuring out ways that we could eliminate this ordinance. You know, it took a lot of hard work for them to look into it, and I appreciate you guys always looking forward and trying to do the best for the county, and I appreciate that. And on that, do I have a motion?
Chairman, I would move that we receive the report and find that the proposed ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15061B3, and introduce a waive the first reading of the ordinance, amending Title 12 of the Lassen County Code, and authorize the clerk of the Board of Supervisors to make available for public review the proposed ordinance and publish a notice of hearing as required by California Government Code sections 50022.3, 50022.6, and 6066.
And set a public hearing for April 15th, 2025, meeting at 10 a.m. to waive second reading and adopt the ordinance.
Yes, ma'am.
And I will second it.
Okay. Motion made by Supervisor Alba, seconded by Supervisor Bridges. And do we need a roll call
Yes,
vote?
please.
Supervisor Scanlon,
Yes.
Supervisor Bridges,
Yes.
Supervisor Alba,
Aye.
Supervisor Ingram,
Aye.
Supervisor Neal.
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, we're gonna move to, D1. For the, proclamation and plaque presentation.
Chairman, I would move that we adopt the retirement proclamations for Chris Gallagher and the retirement plaque and miracles.
Second.
Okay, Supervisor, Alba.
Ingram
And
seconded.
Oh, seconded by Supervisor Ingram. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I remembered for you.
Thank you, thank you.
Not bad for an old lad.
Chris?
Bless you.
Thank you, excuse me. I'm very sneezy today.
There you are. And this proclamation for you. Whereas Chris has a highly regarded member of the Lassen County Board of Supervisors, representing District 1, he greatly improved the quality of life within Lassen County and through the state of California, and his deserving of a heartfelt thank you for a job well done. And whereas Chris being elected into office as a Lassen County Supervisor in 2016 and subsequently re-elected to the second term in 2020, has earned the reputation as an individual deeply committed and supporting a variety of programs, as well as sitting on several committees, admitting at the meetings and changing needs of the community. And whereas Chris, throughout his tenure on the Lassen County Board of Supervisors, has consequently worked to improve the well-being of local residents and leaving a lasting positivity legacy for future generations by promoting tourism, enhancing the county's natural resources, increasing general fund income, promoting the beautification of areas in District 1, protecting county's historical places, encouraging economic development, supporting law enforcement, and making Lassen County a place that people want to visit and reside. And whereas Chris has made a lasting impact on Lassen County, and we wish him all the best as he enters the next chapter of life, where he will spend more time cruising the world with his wife Dee, participating in big game hunts with friends and family, and visiting with his children and grandchildren. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the Lassen County that Chris Gallagher is commended for 8 years of service of Lassen County, and that the Board of Supervisors wish him well for many years to come. And thank you.
Perfect. Well, I just want to, oh, let me hold this up. There we go. All right. Well, I just want to thank you all for being able to serve in Lassen County. It was my great privilege. It's just a kind of a continuation of what I had done in the past, being a police chief in Susanville, and then coming back and really wanting to make this county a better place. And like it says in the proclamation, I'm now going to be cruising and hunting as much as I can, and enjoying the retirement life, I think, except that now I've gotten myself into the theater thing in Susanville for the symphony, and so who knows what I'm going to end up doing there. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks.
Have a good one. Thank you all.
Mr. Alma has.
You know, Chris, it was, even though it's been 8 years, it didn't seem like it was that long. You did a great job of representing your district and all the citizens of Lassen County. You did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure to work with you. We didn't always agree all the time.
No.
But for the most time we did, and the stuff we disagreed on, we could still be friends, and we went about our way, and you always had the county first and foremost, and I appreciate that.
And I see your wife didn't dress you this morning. Your tie is like off to the side.
Mr. Bridger.
Okay. I only got to actually sit next to you for, what, 4 years.
I'm like,
But I learned an awful lot on when we done employee negotiations. Your knowledge in that the county's gonna miss, this board's gonna miss. You were very, very effective in that and very educated. And there's a lot of times I asked you questions for your opinion and gathered my own, but you had a lot of input on a lot of different decisions on this board. And unlike Aaron, we didn't always agree, but we agreed to disagree and we worked together, and I think this team's gonna miss you. And thank you for all you've done for my home county.
Thank you, thank you.
I got something, Tom.
Yes.
I only got to work with you for a couple years, but I just really want to thank you for a lot of the advice you give me over the last few months, and I hope you enjoy your retirement and cruising in Huntley. Have a good time. Thank you, Chris.
For sure, thank you. And thank you, Michelle.
Is there anybody else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Chris, I gotta say, I hope this board takes your spirit, and because it's not the knowledge that you have, which is great, it's your openness to new thoughts. Even though you have a clearly defined ideology and idea about yourself that you communicate to everybody, your willingness to hear other people and other ideas is what really is going to drive us out of this problem and why they're going to miss you up there. And the last bit I will say is I don't believe in retirement. You have more work to be done at Lassen County and our Susanville Performing Arts Center. It's the same thing I tell Margie. Just because you retire doesn't mean you're done. So thank you, Chris.
Well, I've only been retired 3 times, so one more time.
One more thing, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just want to say, Chris, I echo everything that everybody's saying, but first and foremost, you made it fun. So, you know, I learned a ton from you, and you were always honest, and no matter what that meant, good or bad, you're always honest, and but mostly it was just fun working with you. So
yeah.
I appreciate all the years, a lot of years. It seemed 8 years. Wow, it seemed more like 7.
Thanks, Mark. No, I've enjoyed working with all the county staff. That's really the part that I'm already missing, that interaction with the county staff. And in fact, I went and saw Sam the other day because I had 5 budget books that I brought back that have been sitting on my shelf for forever. So I know she reuses those things, and so yeah, it was good seeing everybody. So thank you all, appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Chris. No, I just wanted to say thank you, and
Oh,
I
you're
really
welcome.
enjoyed working
Great
with you
working
for
with you.
everything you brought.
Actually, I want to say something to you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for everything. It was a privilege working with you. You were one of the first supervisors on board when, so I kind of learned together when I promoted to this position. But thank you for all of your advice and your guidance, and you're definitely one of my favorites.
Oh, thank you. That's high praise right there.
That was
better than Albar.
I can get you a minute order.
And I need an email from you.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks, Chris. It was a pleasure working with you.
Me too.
So, good luck.
All right.
I know you're going to have fun. And you're already got the retirement smile.
Yeah, that's right. All right, thank you all very much.
Okay. Eric Olson, be here. Nobody? Okay. Give that to Pete. How about Michael Laughlin?
He couldn't be here, but I'll take his stuff for him.
Okay.
He got called into court, so otherwise he'd have been here.
Oh.
He's actually bringing closure to a family that on a long-standing case, so it's great to.
All right.
So I'll take that for him. He does a great job for us. So thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to F1, committee appointments for Lassen County Commission. Consider the Lassen County Planning Commission. So we have first in Supervisor Scanlon's district, one. Let's see, we got two applicants. John Shaw and Curtis Gady. And so, yes.
So the current term expires March 31st, 25, and it goes till when?
It's 4 years. They're 4-year terms.
Okay, thank you, I just wanted to have that clarified.
So, yeah, March 31st, 2029.
So, do you guys want to do all of the planning commission appointments together
Why
in
don't we do them
one
one
motion?
Let's do them one at a time.
You got multiple.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna do, the District 1 for John Shaw or Curtis Gady and supervisors.
I've had a ample opportunity to speak with Curtis Gady, and I've developed a pretty good rapport, and I'm confident that he'll represent in part my views, but also the best interest of the county, and so he would be my choice.
So
Is there a motion?
that's your motion?
I didn't know if I was.
Yeah.
I thought we were having a discussion, but
I will second.
I make a motion to select Curtis Gady as the planning commissioner for District 1.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Made by Supervisor Scanlon, seconded by Supervisor Bridges. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on it?
I got some discussion before we vote. You know,
Okay.
I know that John Shaw, he sat on this for a long time too, and I think he did a good job, and I just want to thank him for his service to the community, and just want to
Agreed.
acknowledge his service.
Amen.
It's not always easy sometimes to serve on the planning commission. It's not always easy. You don't get paid enough to make hard decisions, you gotta make some.
Very seldom it's easy,
You get paid.
You know,
You get paid.
I would think.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, all those in favor of appointing Curtis Gady, I need a vote.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Curtis Gady will be. Okay, the next is for District 2. We have, Carol Clark and Robert, Kendall. So,
Being the supervisor of District 2, I'd like to nominate for reappointment Carol Clark. She's done a good job on there. She, there's times that she would raise a flag, but a lot of times I felt it was very, very necessary, and I don't think there's anybody on that board that does their homework on the reports and everything else like Carol does. She goes through them with a fine tooth comb. So with that, I nominate Carol.
I second that.
okay. Motion made by Supervisor Bridges, seconded by Supervisor Scanlon. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on that? Yes, come up
I'm
and
gonna
you
oppose,
do the
sorry.
podium,
Oh, you're fine.
state your name, and,
Oh, sorry, did I hit you with
Right
that?
pass.
My name is David Teeter. I live in District 2. It's less than a year since Carol Clark stood at this podium and accused this body and this staff of corruption in regards to the Traphagen Mill episode. Nobody's ever explained to me what corruption was occurring that caused the Traphagens to lose their mill permit. I don't believe that there was any, and there was no evidence of this. Mrs. Clark has done this in open session several times. While every citizen has a right to speak, just like I'm doing, at some point, if you represent the county, you have to have some kind of control. Mrs. Clark has also been in the city of Susanville council chambers, and she has spoken again has her right as a citizen, but they're unsubstantiated remarks that she's making as if they were true. And she's done this here, and she's done this at city council. Mr. Bridges, you told me in a personal conversation that you would replace her because of this. Now, I'm sure you'll tell me something different now at this point, but I went away from that conversation sure that after somebody stood up here and made unsubstantiated allegations against this board and the workers of the county of Lassen, that somebody would do something about it other than to just substantiate those, again, unsubstantiated allegations. So here I'm asking the board, here I'm asking Mr. Bridges, here I'm asking you, was the Trapphagen incident where they lost their permit, was that corruption? Because that's what she said. And so here you sit, Mr. Bridges, and you put forth a person that, you know, if she's telling us the truth, then this board and this staff was corrupt in their actions. But we know that's not true. And so I ask you to do what you said you would do. I ask this board to consider who they're putting on the planning commission before they do it. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak at this time?
Mr. Chairman, Chris Cole, I'll also speak. If she's re-nominated, I think she'll give us some interesting times for the next 4 years. She did say about the LARP organization that she found cozy interconnections between them and the cannabis business, which was unsubstantiated. And she also said she had vetted all the applicants for the Cal Farm grants, and I looked into it. There were some South American cannabis growers within that also, and that we're going to provide tours to MODOC students to tour the facilities. But I asked the farmers if they could give us a soil sample, but she did stand up for some South American cannabis growers and said the LARP organization was the ones that had tied. And once again, with her allegations, they're tremendously unfounded. But I vote for her, so keep her going. We'll have some fun. So.
With the gavel, there's boardrooms and the policy and procedures. Not sure if you read it. I emailed it to everybody when I sent the agenda out. Refer
Yeah,
to
there's
it.
no jeering. All right, thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back up here. And we've had a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, Supervisor District 4.
Hopefully mine's not near as contentious. I nominate Toby Gordon.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Albaugh, seconded by Supervisor Bridges. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back up here for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, we're gonna move on to the Lassen County Fair Advisory Board.
Mr. Chairman, before you begin, I'd like to submit an application that was received late. I just received it this morning. It's for Nancy Cameron. She lives in District 5. So let me present that to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. No, there's no opening in District 5.
So how would that be accepted if we
There
accepted
was,
the 1, 2, and
there
4?
was, changes to the rules to the Fair Advisory Board appointments a few years back, stating that anyone from any district could be appointed. They don't have to reside in the district that they live in. They could be, District 5 could be appointed to District 1.
Right, but she's up for consideration for 1, 2, and 4.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, anyone.
Gotcha, okay.
All right, does everybody understand that?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if she's eligible for 1, 2, or 5, should she have been included when we?
She's eligible for every district.
She's eligible.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
She was just a late application, kind of similar to Carol's, because I didn't receive it in time. So they can turn in and any applicant can turn in an application. So if somebody walked in right now and said, I wanted to apply for Fair Board.
For any district?
For any district. It wasn't like that 2 years ago, but because of, there weren't a lot of applicants, there weren't a lot of appointments.
I apologize, I got
That's okay.
confused between, Plan Commission and the Fair Board.
Yes, so different rules for different boards. It'd be nice if they were all the same, but yeah.
Also, for the 2020 census, the lines were redrawn. So District 5 and District 3 had people living out of the district, so I think the exception was made for that as well.
And there were only, where the lines fell, there were only 2 properties that fell, that went from 3 to 5.
Right.
And that was out in Janesville.
Madam Clerk, the name again?
Nancy Cameron?
Is there only one copy of her application?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because
Here, I will pass it around and you guys can look at it and, so we'll go to Supervisor District 1's, fair appointment.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to, appoint, Randy Harlan and Brett Smith, to the Fair Advisory Board.
Second.
Okay, so motion made by Supervisor Scanlon, second by Supervisor
Ingram.
Man,
Good choice.
sorry about that.
Good choice.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on it? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, District 2, we have, Jose Pena and, Juanita Williams, Tim Knittel.
Yes.
All right, and then the possibility of Nancy Cameron
And Brian.
and Brian Will.
No, not Brian
Not
Wolf.
Brian's got-
Oh, he's out.
He's done.
He's done.
Oh,
Okay, with that, I'd like to make a motion to retain Jose Pena on the Fair Board. He's been on there 24 years. He's a complete asset for Lassen County and the Fair. And I'd also like to appoint or nominate Juanita Williams. She lives in my district, which I think that's a plus. So with that, that's my 2 appointees.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay. Supervisor Bridges, need the motion. Supervisor Alba, seconded. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back up here for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we are moving on to District 4. And we have applicants Sherry Thornton, Ryan Horney, and Rebecca Alba. And Kevin Stafford. So do I have what?
And Nancy Cameron.
Oh, and Nancy Cameron, I'm sorry, thank you. And, so, Mr. Alba,
You know, it's nice to have all these applicants that come in, and I appreciate that, not only just for my district, but for all the districts. It's not easy to volunteer to put yourself out to serve on some of these thankless committees sometimes, and I appreciate those people who do that. You know, and I also want to encourage those people, you know, to talk to the supervisor. I mean, I don't even know who Sherry Thornton is or Ryan Barney. I have no idea who they are. I mean, come talk to the supervisors. I mean, I put you on there. I mean, I just get a piece of paper. That doesn't, it tells me a little bit about you, but other than that, I don't know anything about you. So it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I mean, my wife, she's been doing this way longer than I've ever been a supervisor. Ellie put her on there, I don't know how many years she's been doing it, but a long time too. And so, you know, I just want to encourage those people, if you're interested in these positions, to come talk to the supervisor. And introduce yourself and let them know about you for any board or any commission. And just let us know who you are. So, with that, then I would make the nominations for Rebecca Alba and Kevin Stafford.
I will second that motion.
okay, motion made by Supervisor Alba for Becky Alba and Kevin Stafford, and seconded by Supervisor Bridges.
Who took it? 2 second break. Yeah.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break. Okay. Oh, man, I would be in serious trouble starting without the clerk. I don't want to be on that end of it. Oh.
I have to step in and cover for you because you've been in the hospital.
Yeah.
Probably through the rest of the year.
Due to modernize something.
Well, it didn't cost me anything, I'll game. Yeah, we know who
I'm into anything that doesn't cost too much.
I know you're easy.
Yes. Yes. Usually it's always something to work
And I was like, I agree before your term. So I
If I had a parking problem, I mean, I'll never.
It's just voluntary.
It's all cattywampus.
Are you telling me that my dad?
All right, we're gonna come back in this session.
You mean in a little?
This is what people don't like.
Mr. Chairman, after, some discussion here, I'm going to withdraw the motion that I made.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a motion.
Was there a second to that motion?
I seconded
You
it.
agreed to the withdrawal
I
of that
agree.
motion?
Okay, so I need a new motion, for, District 4, Rebecca Alba and, Kevin Stafford.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Rebecca Alba and Kevin Stafford to District 4 representatives for the Fair Board.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Scanlon, seconded by Supervisor Bridges.
I have a question.
And is there anybody from the public that would like to comment? Yes.
Sarah Barney, Brian Barney's wife. I guess I'll scoot over. Sorry, he was trying to be here, but Tiny Human had an emergency, so he's being a dad right now. I do want to say, my husband's actually met you quite a few times. He's your volunteer fire chief for the only volunteer fire department in your district. So he, in the 4 years of being the volunteer fire chief for that district, he has gotten them a water tender, a new engine. The previous one was from 1964. He has done trainings with the department where they've conversed with Spalding. I don't know if you guys know, there used to be a conflict with Spalding where there was no mutual aid. Also works with CAL FIRE. We do autism training with CAL FIRE, all his departments. He's also a Lassen County native. He is born and raised here. He's FFA. He did the Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts, all these things. The reason why he would like to be a part of these committees now is I feel like we need younger blood on them, and so does he. Where we have new ideas, new things coming in. He's also part of the racetrack where he does race. He's out there doing a lot of things in this community and has decided to actually step forward and be a part of these committees so he can make a bigger difference than just being a part of the blind eye. So anyways, just so you wanted to make a comment for him because he couldn't be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Yes.
I can't help but make a mess.
David Teeter. I think what we just heard was an excellent point. It's one that most of us need to take another look at. The world is changing. We're into the 21st century. And that means that some of the ideas that used to work don't work anymore. And that means that some of the ideas that are coming forward now are coming from people that, although a Lassen County resident for most of their life or all their life, normally we get used to seeing them. But I think we need new voices. As much as I appreciate some of those people that have served, and a great example, I know he wouldn't mind this, so I'll use his name, is Kevin Stafford. Kevin Stafford is a fine applicant for the Fair Board, a fine man. He has been a part of that Fair Board for a good long time and deserves credit for that. But there are times when if we could see different faces up on that board with some different ideas, it might fit for the 21st century. So thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to comment? Okay.
I have a
Seeing
question,
none,
Mr. Chair.
yes, we're gonna come back to up here and Mr. Ingram.
I'm just, why did you have to withdraw your nomination? I'm confused. Why did you have to withdraw it? I'm just. Oh.
I just did, just for.
Is that it?
Yeah, I just had a question.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, you know, I served on the Fair Board for over 16 plus years, and this particular board, it takes a lot of dedication. They start the day after fair ends, and they continue to go through planning, getting everything prepared for the fair and other events, and so there was a lot of hard work, And not only do, the people that sit on that board, they not only put in their time, but they also, fund it, with contributions of money. And, you know, it's, sometimes it's a difficult job, but I know all of these people that are on there, they're open and minded to any new suggestions, and they're a critical, part to help the fair manager succeed. And so, I just want to, you know, let everybody know that this appointment is very good, and I've personally worked with both of them, and they're really hard and, hard, dedicated, people, and so I fully support them. So, on that note, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I abstain.
Okay. Okay. Committee appointments to the County Fish and Game Commission. So, for Supervisor District 1, there was no applicants.
I got a question on that. I think Chris O'Brien, I think he was in District 1, because Chase Daly should be in District 4. He's the current guy that I have in District 4. And then I have Brian Barney, as an applicant to replace him, because he also lives in my district. I didn't have two and two, because I'm his wife, so I'm not here. So I'm pretty sure that the Ryan Barney would be the District 4 applicant.
Okay.
But it should be, Chase Daly should be current.
Instead of Christopher O'Brien.
Yes, I think Christopher O'Brien should be District 1, who's resigning.
I think you're right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't have Chase Dolly's.
Chris, because he didn't turn one in.
Oh,
Chris O'Brien is District 1,
That's what I thought.
so I had Chase Daly, and so that was my error. So Chase Daly should be District 4. Ryan Barney resides in District 4 also.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what happened.
I had an applicant for District 1, but he withdrew at the last minute,
So it'll just stay open and they'll find somebody else.
yeah,
And then we can.
that's all I understand.
well, isn't the Fish and Game Commission the same way as,
The Fair Board?
the Fair Board, to where you could have a commissioner out of the district? I could have swore that rule changed a couple years ago.
Yeah, but I want Ryan for mine.
Oh.
But, on Supervisor Ingram's point, I'm lucky enough to have two people in my district that are, one is, that participate. One is an alternate, and one is a regular on there, so, I don't know, I'll get with Mike afterwards, and, but Kristen Seamer and Jesse Midgley are both on there. Jesse is the, alternate, and so,
I know Jesse.
yeah, so maybe we can, talk to those two and
Absolutely.
and get that.
Okay. That'd be great.
All right, yeah. All right, so District 1 will just, stay open for now. Supervisor District 2.
Tony Ardito is my appointee on there, and he sent in another application. He's doing a heck of a job. I'd like to keep him there. That's my nomination.
Okay. Supervisor Bridges made the motion. Supervisor Ingram seconded. Is there anybody from the public who would like to comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back up here for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, so Supervisor 4 District, we have,
Chase Daly is our current one, and he doesn't necessarily want to do it anymore, so he didn't put in an application. I want to thank Chase for his service. He did a good job, even when he did it for a short time. He did a good job. I also like to thank Chris O'Brien. He did a phenomenal job as the chair. He was there for a long time. We do have an applicant, Ryan Barney. I think he's more than qualified. Now I know who you are.
Yeah, sorry, I was dealing with my son this morning.
Then your wife showed up and reminded me, and then it all clicked.
Yeah.
Good job, thank you for that. You know, Ryan's wife spoke very eloquent for him up there last time. And, you know, as long as he has her support, he's gonna do a fine job.
I have to comment, you have a good backup system, buddy.
Thank you.
And I said it earlier, Ryan, if you want somebody, call the supervisor and ask him, like, don't go to anybody. Because then I would have put two and two together after I visited with you, probably.
Gotcha.
Anyway, it's just, so I didn't recognize you, so for that, I do sincerely apologize. But, with that being said, I'd like to nominate Ryan Barney to serve as the representative on District 4 for the Lassen County Fishing Game.
Second.
okay, motion made by Supervisor Albaugh, seconded by Supervisor Bridges. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on? Seeing none, we'll bring it back up here. Anybody from up here?
Just fine choice. I think Ryan will fit right in any committee. Good.
Okay, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, moving on to G, information and consent calendar. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull? Okay.
This is already minus G, because we pulled
G2 and G3, we don't have to do that.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Albaugh, second by Supervisor Bridges. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Seeing none, we'll bring it back up here for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So we're gonna move on to department heads. H1.
Good morning, gentlemen. Danielle Sanchez, Interim Public Health Director, Personnel Coordinator, and Health and Social Services Assistant Director. Tiffany is out on vacation for the next month, so I'm going to do my best to present these on her behalf. Before you have a second amendment to an agreement that we have with Kingsview Professional Services. We were just here last month to amend this agreement, and here we are back again. Kingsview hosts our electronic health record system that behavioral health uses when they serve their clients. This amendment before you today is to increase the contract by $35,435.38 for a total contract amount within the fiscal year 24-25 to $381,265.76, and a maximum contract amount of $989,738.59 for the fiscal years 2022 through 2025. This amendment, specifically an increase for the 35,000 plus, is to incorporate a provider directory which is mandated by the Department of Healthcare Services. To simplify that, you will be able to log on as a client of behavioral health services and determine, for example, I want my personal therapist to be African American female that speaks Mandarin. Those are my requirements. So I would input that information into this database and it would spit out someone that meets my preferences for me. This is a mandate by the Department of Healthcare Services, so we do have to do this. And being that we already contract with King 2 to provide our EHR services, they have said that they will do this for us, and this is the cost breakdown. Any other questions?
This pays for this, the state or do we?
The state provides funding through our normal funding sources for this. We have room within our Behavioral Health, Alcohol and Drug, and Mental Health Services Act budgets this year to provide for this $35,000 increase.
Yeah, you're gonna get another, I'm just curious if it's an unfunded mandate or not.
Sometimes they are, but they're also requirements.
Unfunded mandate.
I know.
That's it.
Any other questions on staff? Okay. Can I have a motion? Okay, public comment. Is there anybody from the public who'd like to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, bring it back up here.
I'll make a motion to approve the Second Amendment to the agreement with the Kings View Professional Services and authorize the county administrative officer or designate to execute the amendment.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Bridges, second by Supervisor Albaugh. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to H2. Hey Danielle. how are you?
Back again. So before you have an agreement between Locum Tenens LLC and Lassen County for professional psychiatric diagnostic and therapeutic services. This agreement would begin term February 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026 for a maximum amount of $580,320. A little bit of background: in December of 2024, our service provider that we were utilizing through Locum Tenens suffered a tragic vehicle accident in a storm and is now deceased, so no longer being able to provide services. This agreement will allow us to resume our services for the children that are being medicated through our behavioral health system. If we do not approve this agreement today, I want to let you know that there is the chance that these medications could lapse for the children that are being serviced by our agency, which could cause further problems. So it's very important that we replace. I know you're going to look at that per hour rate and go, what in your mind are you thinking? However, being that we are a rural community and our choices are limited, this is the best that we can find to meet the needs of our population. So I'd ask you to approve this agreement today so that we can continue these services that are greatly needed.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Yes.
It seems like we see a few of these things kind of come through for psychiatric services.
Yes.
You know, one covers night, the other one covers weekends, someone else covers the weekday, and very specialized, it would seem.
Yes.
What's the distinction here?
So this specific agreement is for a psychiatrist for our youth population. This is not after hours crisis or mobile crisis or holiday and weekend coverage. This is a psychiatrist that will see our youth clients through telehealth in the office Monday through Friday and make sure that their medications are kept up.
How has that been handled since December?
It's been intermittent with anybody that's available, but it's important to have consistency when you're serving the youth, so that the same doctor is seeing the youth monthly, weekly, whatever their needs are, to make sure that their medications are dosed properly.
Thank you.
What's your long-term plans here? Are you gonna stay with this outfit, or, I mean, cause you're going clear out for almost another year and a half.
We are planning for through 2026, finding a psychiatrist in our community. Next month I'll be with the county 10 years, and since my employment with the county, we have not had an on-site psychiatrist. We've not been able to have one that meets the needs of our community on staff with us. So we are at the will of these outside vendors that can provide the telehealth services that we require. I don't have a definitive answer for you. If a psychiatrist was to move to our community and say, hey, I'm here now, I'm willing to come on for the wages that you guys are able to afford, we could possibly bring one back on staff, but the outlook on that is not great.
It's a very common problem in all counties, it's not just Lassen County.
So if one does move to Lassen County, can we terminate this contract anytime?
It would depend on what their qualifications are, if they could meet the needs of our system, and it would be a lot of factors that would have to culminate into one aha.
Yes, there's a termination.
I just, like you said, the hourly rates is
I know.
mind-boggling. It's like they're the wolf violators or something. Sorry, should've gone there.
How did I know you would turn it into a wolf conversation?
Okay,
Of course you would.
so is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Seeing none, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Commendation.com LLC, authorize the county administrative officer or designee to execute the agreement.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Scanlon, second by Supervisor Bridges. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we are going to go to unagendized reports. And Supervisor Scanlon, let's start with you.
Alrighty. On March 20th, I toured Westwood with the Westwood Community Services District Water Department employees. And basically we toured the town cataloging all the burnt out buildings. And we stopped at number 10. And one of them had been a burnt out building for 7 years. And it's just been, there's just a lot of stuff, but we didn't count the other derelict kind of buildings and things that could be dealt with. I took some pictures and I'm creating a list, and I've already spoken with our CAO, and we've kind of agreed to kind of go out together and take a look at it from a code enforcement standpoint. But it's getting to be pretty crazy over there with all that. On the same day, I also, having received several complaints from Pinetown residents regarding the potholes in the road, Pinetown Road, I went out to examine that for myself. I hadn't been out there probably 6 or 8 months, and over the winter it's gotten a lot worse with all the logging trucks and cattle trucks and stuff. And the complaints are more than valid. It's really a rough road, and I've since been in contact with the Director of Public Works, who informed me that that's actually already an active project. It's going out for bid in the next month, and they expect to have it ground down, repaved sometime this summer. And so I was able to call the 5 or 6 people that called me, call them back and give them kind of a game plan. So it's kind of nice to give them good news. I also was invited to attend a local farm bureau meeting. during which time I was kind of taken to task a little bit on the Williamson Act. And there were a lot of information given to me. Actually, it was a little bit overwhelming. Had multiple guys kind of shooting questions and asking why my rationale and so on. It was a lively discussion. But also their main point was over the predators and the gray wolves that are killing cattle and other predators as well, the mountain lions and the bears and stuff. But their primary concern was with the gray wolves, and some of the they showed me pictures. One picture in particular showed a calf that had been killed, and in the backdrop was the rancher's house, maybe 40 yards, if that far away. And so these predators are coming in pretty close to humans. There's no fear of humans, and I realize now I'm new to this game, having heard the sheriff and others talk about it. But anyway, one of the more profound things that I was told during that meeting really struck me. I've looked at it as simply an agricultural issue, with the ranchers and so forth. But what they described, it's going to become, it is now a safety issue, but it's going to become a greater economic issue. Because they asked me the question at one point, how did Lassen County lose the logging industry? What happened? And I said, well, the environmentalists, came in and they go, well, specifically it was the spotted owl. There was a specific, cause for that. And they informed me that the wolves are going to, what the spotted owl was to the logging industry, the wolf will be to the ranching industry. And I'm all for economic development and trying to bring in new business and stuff, but I think we have to work hard as well, maybe harder, to preserve the economic powerhouse that we have in ranching, and not let that be eradicated because of extreme environmentalism. And I think that looking at it from a public safety standpoint is going to be where we're going to get some traction. And I did talk with Supervisor Alval about this because I kind of recognize him as an expert in this area. And I just got to say that in general so we don't get mixed up in any more Brown Act violations. But I would like to see this get on the agenda for further discussion. Like the sheriff mentioned, I think, and I'm not sure if the next meeting or the one after that, but I'd like to see it get on the agenda somehow or another. And then I also went from the Farm Bureau meeting to a Fish and Game meeting back to back. And I just happened to walk in the room a little bit late, and I think his name is Brian Eller. He's the biologist for California Department of Fish and Game. And he was giving a pretty extensive report on the lack of game animals that are available. The deer population is way down. He talked about rams, and then talked about having the hunting tags for those areas because the animals are becoming more and more scarce. And that tied right into the predators, specifically the gray wolves, overkilling everything. And in the previous conversation, they found out that examining the scat of the wolves, that as they examined that 86% of their diet is cattle. And so anyway, again, I think it's I'm attempting to obtain a copy of Mr. Eller's report. Haven't gotten that yet, but I've got an appointment to meet with him. And so, and then lastly, I walked through the old cemetery again based on community complaints. I wasn't soul searching. I was actually looking for erosion issues that they brought up, and so couldn't find that. But anyway, that was my last week.
Okay.
Supervisor.
On March 18th, I attended the Law Library trustee meeting with Judges Moreau and talked about the budgeting for the law library. And the good news is that it's going to be less expensive because they're going to go to digital. And they don't have all them old books sitting around getting old and taking up room, and so it's a win-win. On the 19th, I had a cultural competency meeting, and this Thursday I go to Quincy for a LIPSCA meeting. And I wanna back up or hit on what you talked about with the wolves and the logging. As everybody in this room probably knows, I was in the logging industry. And the spotted owl killed the logging in California, basically. The sad part is, they found them nesting in old growth manzanita out of Wairika. So I say that because they would nest anywhere. And if it wasn't the spotted owl, the next endangered little species that they had on their agenda was a salamander. So the environmentalists are actually, they're slowly taking away our rights here in the counties, in these rural counties. And and this wolf issue is crazy. First off, the wolf that's here is not even native, it's from Canada. It's quite a bit larger than the few that were here when Peter Lassen got here.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Burgess, I'm just gonna interrupt because he's talked about the wolves, we're all talking about the wolves and it hasn't been agendized.
Oh,
So
okay, I'm sorry.
Let's bring it back to a time.
Okay.
We can all discuss that. Okay.
I guess my point is I'd like to have it agendized in the future.
Perfect, okay, sounds good.
So,
Thank
with
you.
that's all I have.
All right,
Thank you.
And I'll do the same thing, do you wanna talk about it? I'm just gonna save it for the agenda.
Supervisor All.
Yeah, thank you. Gosh, I don't know what to go now.
No, get you right off.
Okay, I went to Dixie Valley, this last week. Mr. McGarland was there with Fish and Game to discuss, I can't say the word, so I'll get in trouble. That was the main topic there. You know, it was already said earlier. And then later on, you know, on Saturday with the former Big Valley Cattlemen's, he had an annual meeting. Doug LaMalfa was there, as well as John McGarvey again, Tex Dowdy, and Mr. Fisher from the sheriffs, the county sheriffs, all talking about the same thing again. The public safety aspects of that apex predator that I can't say the name of, I don't want to get in trouble. And then, anyway, there's also two more of those apex predators that have broken off from the Sierra Pack. One of them is on the south end of Honey Lake Valley right now, and the other one is just south of, between Dayton and Beaver, but just south. Stonebreaker, you know where that's at, Bill. Right in the middle of my Forest Service allotment, right next to other ranchers that just lost 6 this last week to those apex predators. So,
You know, just deleting the name doesn't really achieve the
I understand it. So anyway,
No more public.
they're coming, you know, and I don't know how many meetings we've had with this, but anyway, it does need to be attended, just so people know, it is getting bad. And also tomorrow, I'm going to go to RCRC, and Mr. Wade Crofa, he's the Director of Natural Resources. Anyway, I hope to hit him up on a couple of issues. Maybe get him to come to Lassen County too. And then, let's see what else I got here. Solid waste, we have solid waste this afternoon. I think Wahat's supposed to be here, so I can get wound up for them. And then, the last thing I'd like to bring up, you know, is, you know, it's been reported in the paper that, you know, any one person can put something on the agenda for the Board of Supervisors, and that is so not true. It takes the consensus of the board. You know, you can bring it up if the chairman doesn't want to put on there, 2 supervisors can get together and put that request in writing and submit it, and then that gets it on the agenda.
11 days.
Yeah, and so, there's some misnomers going around, I just wanted to make it transparent of what this is for. With that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Ingram.
Yes, sir, thank you very much. I just wanted to say, I would like to formally ask the chairman to have both of my items put on the agenda again. One is regarding one that I don't want to get in trouble with, and I find it strangely ironic everybody else wants to get it on there, which is fine. But also the live streaming item, that I brought last time. I asked to have it on the agenda. It wasn't agendized, so I'm formally asking that you would do so. I also wanted to give a shout out to all the hardworking women, the cattle women, our professional women within the county that work for the county. It's International Women's Month, and I just hope they enjoyed their month. And just wanted to make sure I give a shout out to them. Also planning a trip out to Washington DC with some of the federal connections a friend of mine has put me together with to explore some opportunities for Lassen County. They've got the deepest pockets. The state obviously doesn't care about us, so I figured that's the direction to go. I was also contacted by a major news media outlet that has come into Lassen County to do a story on it. I look forward to that in the next few months. I was contacted by John Carici. We've got the 395 wildlife overcrossing, 5 locations selected. I've contacted 3 of the landowners already, and once we get that all dialed in, it'd be really neat to see that wildland overcrossing come to fruition on 395. And in case anybody is not aware, the Westwood Pig Out's coming up. It's next month up in Supervisors Camlin's territory. It's a fundraiser. What they do, basically, the Westwood Chamber of Commerce purchases a pig from our county fair, and then you do a pig out to raise money for their 4-H and FFA kiddos. I think it's on the 11th of next month, if I'm not mistaken. So if you haven't got your tickets, tickets are limited. Going up to Westwood, it should be a pretty day. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. I attended the PSA 2 training, and I also attended the Lassen Fire Safe Council meeting. I would like to close the meeting in honor of Bob Ellis, and also Steve Rose passed away. So I'd like to close the meeting in honor of those two. And Mr. Ingram, in January, our CAO gave every supervisor a resolution of the 20-47 of how the supervisors are to conduct themselves. And also in there is a way that you can have something put on the agenda. And every supervisor up here was given that in January. So for you to publicly say that I wasn't, that I was being mean to you and not agendizing your stuff, there is a way that you were given, and you should have been reading this, and it also goes to the rules and regulations that we're to follow, the Roseburg rules and orders. So if I am assuming that you didn't read this, or you would have known how to put that on the agenda. So hopefully you will get yourself a copy of this, and you'll be able to figure out how to put your items on the agenda. And I have told you that I was going to put it on there. I didn't tell you no, it was no for today, but I told you that it was going to be put on in the future. And so now, as a responsible supervisor, I think you need to read that, so you know how to put something on the agenda. And that's all I got.
I'm assuming transparency is not a priority, Mr. Chairman. That's okay. Obviously it's not.
So on that note, we are going to go to County Administrative Office.
I have no information for the board.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll adjourn the meeting.
This one or that? Do those two things. Make life
Good to see you, sir.
It's not even happening together.